Today's topic under discussion is scripted speech. Scripted speech refers to language that is written or prepared in advance, then delivered in a planned or rehearsed manner. Unlike spontaneous and conversational speech, which occurs in real time interactions, scripted speech follows a predetermined text and is often used in various contexts, such as in theatre, films, presentations, speeches, and scripted interviews. And the reason why we are discussing and going to study this topic is because in the future lectures, you are going to conduct a stylistic analysis on different sort of speeches, interviews, presentations, some dialogues of the films, some sort of poetry. So all of these things are scripted because they have been written to be performed on. They are not natural conversations which are delivered without any preparation. These are written in purpose to perform on or to deliver on stage or to picturize in films. Here are some characteristics and examples of scripted speech. So there are some contents or there are some characteristics which a scripted speech has. Number 1, written content. It is always written before delivery. It involves written content and that is carefully crafted to convey specific messages or emotions effectively. That written content has a specific purpose, some specific audience or readers, and some particular agenda behind. And that content actually describes the facts in a way that people who read or the people who listen or hear to that sort of content may move toward a certain direction. Second characteristic is rehearsed delivery. A scripted speech is always rehearsed before delivery. Speakers practice and rehearse the scripted content to ensure smooth and accurate delivery during the actual performance, because it is not a live or face-to-face conversation. It is a written sort of content, so you have to be comfortable with that content so that there should not be any mistake and it should go smoothly. A scripted speech often follows a formal structure with well-defined introductions, body, and conclusions, making it suitable for public speaking or performances. Why it has a formal structure? Because a speaker or a person who is using it for public speaking has a particular purpose. He has to touch the mind of the people. He has to take the mind of the people into a particular direction. For that, he introduces his topic or intention or any discussion in a particular way to gather the attention of the listeners. Then he creates or he gives certain facts to support his basic notion or his basic proposition. Then later on, by giving different examples or putting on different arguments or quoting different references, he takes the mind of people into particular direction and then he concludes his proposition or his logic in a particular way. So to perform or to achieve all of these purposes, a speech must follow a formal structure, and that structure is based on the purpose of the speaker. There is an emphasis on timing and pacing. There is a specific timing. It is time bound, it is pace bound. So scripted speeches pay attention to timing and pacing to maintain a desired rhythm and ensure coherence. Coherence is very important so that you may not lose the interest of the audience. And there is a kind of rhythm to create an emotional effect on the readers or on the audiences. Then there is use of pauses and emphasis. The script may include instructions for pauses, that where to stop. A script tells you to pause or to put emphasis on a particular point or changes in tone, or it also governs you where to raise your tone or where to lower your tone to convey intended emotions or meanings. It is a completely guided script in which you act as per instructions. Here we have some examples of scripted speech. Movie or theatre scripts are also kind of scripted contents. Actors deliver scripted lines in movies, plays, or theatre performances, and they have scripts which they read, which they learn, and then they deliver their performance according to that. These scripts include dialogue, stage directions, and character actions. For example, to be or not to be, that is the question. In the play Hamlet by William Shakespeare, there is a text. Whenever any actor wants to perform on that play, he will read the script of that play. Public speeches, which are delivered by public figures, politicians, or individuals delivering formal speeches, often use scripted content to present their ideas effectively. You also have seen the newscaster which may have scripts in front of them. For example, if you take example of speeches, you have I Have a Dream, which is written by Martin Luther King. So there is an example, a content taken from that. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of this creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Presentations and lectures. Speakers in academic or professional settings may use scripted speech in presentations or lectures to maintain coherence and clarity. For example, being a lecturer, I come in front of you every day in a class with a prepared lecture. I may not have written my lecture, but I may have prepared your lecture in sort of PowerPoint presentations, so that I may have important point in front of me, so that the lecture goes smoothly and I may not skip something which is important for you. So I have always prepared some sort of presentations which I play in front of you, and then I take points from there and then I explain those points in front of you. So this is also sort of scripted speech which I deliver in front of you, which is a kind of discussion. Today I will present the findings of our research study on climate change and its impact on coastal ecosystem. This is the example of presentation. When you present some sort of presentations at the end of your semester, so you also have some script in your hands or on your computer screens which you deliver in your presentations. So you better know that. Radio and podcast scripts. Hosts and presenters use scripted content in radio shows, even TV shows and podcasts, to maintain a consistent flow and convey information effectively. Whenever you saw some sort of interview on television or on YouTube or some online platform, you must have seen they have cue cards with them, from where they read the questions. There are some cues for them which may guide their interviews. For example, welcome back to our show. Today we have a special guest who will share insights on personal finance and money management. This is how the host introduces the guest. Then interview scripts. Interviewers may use scripted questions in structured interviews to ensure consistency and gather specific information, the sort of information they want from the interviewees. So they ask the questions which they have written, and those questions are formed on the kind of information they want to gather from the person they are interviewing. Scripted speech is an essential tool for conveying specific messages, maintaining coherence, and achieving desired effects in various formal settings. While it may lack the spontaneity of conversational speech, which is not in flow, scripted speech allows for precise communication and effective delivery of content. And in scripted speeches, there are some rhetorical devices, which are linguistic techniques employed in scripted speech to enhance the persuasive and emotive impact of the message being delivered. What are rhetorical devices? These are some of the techniques which are persuasive, which we can use to persuade the reader and the listener, and to have some emotive and emotional impact on the minds of the listeners or readers. And these rhetoric devices are very much important in the field of literature, in logic, in logical reasoning, in poetry, anywhere where you want to persuade some sort of audiences, you use rhetorical devices. These devices help captivate the audience, emphasize key points, and create memorable moments in the speech. Here are some common rhetorical devices used in scripted speech and their effects. And these rhetorical devices are very important because you can be asked about any of them in your paper also. Alliteration. It involves the repetition of initial consonant sounds. The consonant sounds of adjoining words, when they are same in a sequence words, it adds rhythm and emphasis to the speech. When all the words within a sentence, mostly all the words are starting with the same consonant, they are called in alliteration. For example, she sells seashells by the seashore. You may listen s and sh again and again in this sentence. So it creates a rhythm, and this device is called alliteration. Anaphora. It is the repetition of a word or a phrase at the beginning of successive clauses or sentence. This repetition is of words or phrases, not of just letters, but the words or phrases in the beginning of some successive together coming clauses. It adds emphasis and reinforces a particular idea. For example, I have a dream, I have a dream. There is a repetition of clause. There can be repetition of phrase also. So whenever you see a clause or phrases repeating themselves in the starting of some stanzas or paragraph, so the anaphora is being used there. Next rhetorical device is metaphor. So metaphor create a comparison between two seemingly unrelated things to convey a deeper meaning or evoke emotions. When you compare two things which are not similar at all, and you create a comparison between them, and you call something directly by some name which is completely different, like life is a journey with its ups and downs. Life is life. It is some sort of life thing, but here you have called life as a journey. So this is an example of metaphor. Then another device is simile. It is similar to metaphor. Similes make a comparison, but they use like or as. For example, her smile was as bright as the sun. So metaphor is calling something by some name which is completely different, and simile is a comparison by making use of as or like. Hyperbole involves exaggerating for emphasis or effect when you take the facts too further away. It can evoke strong emotions or humor. For example, I have told you a million times, which means I have told you many times, but nobody can tell anything million times, but to just create exaggeration, such device is used, and it is called hyperbole. For some effect, sometimes you can repeat some idea, like repetition of words, phrases, or ideas reinforces key points and make them memorable. When you want to give importance to some point, you can repeat that point. For example, we will not rest, we will not stop until we achieve our goal. We will not rest, we will not stop. So here the repetition shows the emphasis to emphasize something. You can be asking some sort of rhetorical questions where the purpose is not to get information, but to actually activate some emotion of the reader or audience, or to create some thought, or to activate some thought in the mind of the reader or the listener. And they are posed not to achieve answers, but to provoke thought. They are thought provoking and engagement from the audience. For example, isn't it time we took action? Here he is not asking what to do. He is actually encouraging them to take action. The next device is parallelism. It involves using similar grammatical structures in successive sentences. The grammatical structure is same in the coming sentences or phrases to create a balanced or rhythmic effect. Again, it is used to give importance to something. I came, I saw, I conquered. The structure is same. Antithesis juxtaposes contrasting ideas or words for a dramatic effect. When two opposite things or ideas are brought together to create dramatic effect. For example, love is an ideal thing, marriage is a real thing. So two different things are put together to create a comparison or to show that they are different. The last one is anecdote. It is a short personal story or example used to illustrate a point or engage the audience emotionally. For example, let me share a story of how this idea changed one's person's life. So whenever a public speaker delivers a speech, mostly he starts with a story to gather the attention of the people. So these rhetorical devices help speakers deliver powerful and persuasive speeches that resonate with the audience. When used effectively, they can evoke emotions, create memorable moments, and leave a lasting impact on the listeners. Skilled use of rhetorical devices enhances the overall effectiveness of scripted speech in conveying the intended message and achieving the speaker's communicative goals. And why we are reading it in Stylistics? Because we are going to analyze different sort of speeches, poetry, drama, and for that we have to understand all of these devices so that we can assume and we can conclude that what a writer or speaker wants to convey and what is the purpose of using these devices. I hope you have understood all of these ideas, and tomorrow we will meet with a new topic.